Hi, I'm Scott. Welcome back to Canard Boulevard. Today we're going to be talking about a feature that Garmin has removed silently from Garmin Pilot without mentioning it that I found out about by mistake. Coming up. I've been using Garmin Pilot for years now. It's an alternative to ForeFlight. It doesn't have a couple of the features that ForeFlight does. The one feature I wish that Garmin Pilot had that ForeFlight does is the ability to write comments about airports so you can see what other pilots have written about airports. That's a really big miss on terms of Garmin Pilot, but it has a lot of other stuff in there, including Garmin Smart Charts, which I love. If you've seen any of my recent videos where I'm doing instrument approaches, you've seen me using Smart Charts, and it makes instrument approaches so much easier. So I was flying to Canada recently, and I wanted to send a message to my brother to let him know that I was going to be arriving just a little bit early because he was coming to pick me up. So no problem. I have a Garmin InReach, and the Garmin InReach talks to Garmin Pilot, and I can text right from on here. I can text back and forth and get the messages right here on Garmin Pilot. So if I just go to calls and messages, you can see I've got all these text messages in here, and you can just literally type a message on the iPad, and it has all the contacts in there. So I just select my brother's phone number, say, hey, I'm going to be early. Here's my ETA. It talks to the Garmin InReach Mini. The Garmin InReach Mini then transmits it up to, I think it's Iridium satellite system, and sends it out as a text. And then he replies. It comes back to here and shows up on Garmin Pilot. Or at least it used to. So I was up in the plane. I thought, okay, I'm going to send him that message. And I see this little thing on here. It says, messaging unavailable, no compatible device connected. I thought, well, that's odd. It shows on here that it's connected. It's got the Bluetooth and everything on there. So why is it not connected? So I went into settings and I discovered that it says in order to connect to the InReach Mini that I now had to use Garmin Messenger, not Garmin Pilot. I'm like, okay, that's odd. So maybe Garmin Messenger now needs to connect to this so that Garmin Pilot can talk. It didn't really say. So when I got down, I thought, okay, I'm going to try and see what's going on with this. I downloaded and installed Garmin Messenger on here, tried to connect it to my InReach, and it didn't work. I spent a bunch of time. I had disconnect the Bluetooth on here and then try to Bluetooth it into the Garmin Messenger. It doesn't work. It just says searching, never finds it. There's no information, no documentation. It just doesn't work, and I can't figure out why. Then I was coming back in the iPad looking at the calls and messages settings page, and I saw that it says Garmin Messenger does not work with Garmin InReach Mini. It only works with Garmin InReach Mini 2, which is the newer version. This is the one from 2018. I think I bought this, I think I bought 2019, 2020. Yeah, 2019. And then they brought out the Garmin InReach Mini 2 in 2022, which has a slightly larger screen and a couple other features. Garmin Messenger only works with the new one and not this one. So if you have this, you need to actually use Garmin EarthMate. But none of that matters because neither of them work with Garmin Pilot. I called up Garmin Pilot Support and talked to somebody and said, what's the deal here? Why is it saying messaging, no compatible device connected? And they told me that Garmin is taking these InReach devices and moving them away from aviation and into their sports and lifestyle market. And for that reason, they have removed the functionality for Garmin Pilot to talk to any InReach device. Without telling anybody and without announcing it, they just took it away. The page is still there. You can see all the old messages I sent and received, but you can't connect to the existing device, even though it used to be physically connected to this. No longer works, and it will never work again. They would say if you want to use this on your iPad, you got to download either Garmin Messenger for the new InReach or Garmin EarthMate for this older device, and you can't do it from within Garmin Pilot at all. Well, that sucks because I'm running Garmin Pilot. I'm in the plane. I don't want to be switching away from Garmin Pilot that's doing my traffic and charts and so on so that I can go into a separate app so I can text. What I ended up doing in the plane was actually sending a message directly from this device, which is really painful. You got to like A, B, C, check. D, and it's just like letter by letter, and it's really awful to send messages from this using just the buttons on it. You can't do it, but it's terrible. So I don't want to use EarthMate or any other application on my iPad to send messages over my Garmin InReach Mini. So what am I going to do? Well, I thought about that, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turf this Garmin InReach Mini, and the fact that Garmin has removed the support out of Garmin Pilot means they will no longer be getting my subscription fees for this InReach Mini. The reasoning behind that is twofold. One, T-Mobile has just launched satellite texting. So now your cell phone can connect to the Starlink system and you can send text messages through Starlink. And I actually tested this on my way to Oshkosh. I had no cellular signal. I was about 8,000, 9,000 feet. I sent a message and it said sending through satellite, and it went and it worked and I got a response back. So it works, which is basically what I was using this for. That kind of obviates the reason for having this thing in the first place. And this is $12 a month, so it's not expensive, but it's also not zero. The other thing that this thing does, it has an SOS button on the side, and I call that the helicopter button. If you push that button, it basically sends an emergency signal and they send helicopters, which is nice. But I can do the exact same thing with my PLB. The PLB is actually more powerful. It gets a better, stronger signal out than that. It works with the NOAA SARSAT satellites. It's basically the same as a 406 ELT. You unfold the antenna, and then you push the magic helicopter button, and the helicopters come. And this is free. You don't have to pay for this at all. There's no service charge because it's basically the government system that runs the ELT. This is your handheld ELT, and it is registered to me, and they have it connected with my airplane. So if they see this going off, they know it's something with my airplane. If the ELT hasn't gone off, this will go off. It has a GPS built into it. It transmits my location and my identity up, and they come and get me with the helicopters. I have this ACR PLB, and I have my cell phone that allows me to text satellites. I don't need the InReach anymore. So Garmin, you screwed up. So if you have been using the Garmin InReach Mini or any of the InReach products with your Garmin Pilot, you should know that it no longer works. It will never work again. Nice going, Garmin. Anyway, that's all. I thought I'd pass this along because it was kind of a surprise for me to discover this. And while the support guy freely admitted that this is what they were doing, there's nowhere on the internet or on Garmin's site that says, hey, we've discontinued this ability. And in some places, they're still marketing the fact that the Garmin Pilot can work with your InReach because they have some older pages that still say, hey, this is how it works. Really kind of a crappy thing to do, Garmin. Anyway, so if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, leave them in the comment section below. And if you think this is good content, you like what you're seeing, click like, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.